Today we've realized a dream that we initiated in support of the government of Zimbabwe through the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education to realize the homegrown school feeding program, and our focus in Matenda today has been the development of a water source project, which is a key component of the homegrown school feeding program. We're very much pleased with the establishment of this water source project, particularly in Shishavane, as this is one of 11 that we've been able to establish over the last 8-9 months. We would hope to replicate this at a national level. We are discussing with UNICEF and the ministry to see how we expand on this specific component of the government's effort in implementing homegrown school feeding programs.
Now, is WFP, what are you doing maybe to mitigate some of these things that are going on?
Well, we know even in the advanced countries, at a particular period in the year, you would have a percentage of food insecure households. I mean, so it's not a strange thing that even with a good harvest, we have about 12–14% of the population who, not all of them have land, not all of them cultivated, and not all of them have their livelihoods tied to agriculture. So it is a natural phenomenon that a small percentage of the rural population would be food insecure during the agricultural season. So to answer to your question, part of WFP's activities in Zimbabwe is to help these households who during the hunger period, the agricultural season, October to March, which is considered the hunger period, we've always made provision depending on the gravity of food insecurity. Last year we had a 4.2 million. This year 1.1 million. We would be doing we would be providing support to probably about 60–70% of this 1.1 million. We know that the government through the Ministry of Social Services are also planning to intervene. We will be focusing in the most food insecure districts. So we are looking at perhaps we might be reaching at peak in January up to about 600,000 households who would fall under that food insecure category based on the ZimVac assessment.
Okay, and maybe I want to know the target for school feeding for this year, because if my memory serves me, I think in March or in April you mentioned that you had surpassed the target of 78,000. So this time, what is your target?
Okay, now remember I also mentioned that our school feeding intervention last year was part of our El Nino drought response. It was not a standalone school feeding. Our contribution towards school feeding is to support the government both technically and logistically to establish its own homegrown school feeding. Now, I know that part of the Ministry of Social Services support during this lean season would be directed towards the school. In other words, at least I know of the cereals that would be allocated to the schools. And as you see today, one of the things which we are now doing is to enable the school for them to have what I call the principal director in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary, the relish. So they would be able, to cater for the relish. We would not be providing in-kind food into schools this year. We did it last year because of the gravity of the food shortages and the impact the El Nino had on school learners who, as a result of hunger, were not going to school. And so we had to sort of establish an emergency school feeding program so that these kids could also at least have one meal a day, in addition to the support that we provide to the households. So we would continue in providing technical and logistic support to the ministry in establishing homegrown. There are some very good innovative programs coming up. We've been able to secure a bit of funding where we are going to link these community smallholder farmers with the schools, so that we would sort of pilot by availing funds to the school, but they would have to procure from the community smallholder farmers, rather than, the national foods, or, like here in Shishavane, if let's say we pilot Matenda school to buy their pulses, their maize, they should buy from smallholder farmers within Shishavane districts. So we are killing two birds with one stone, increasing productivity and enhancing the livelihood of the smallholder farmers, and at the same time allowing the schools, to procure their own local foods, which they can prepare for the kids.
But we know that school meals alone will not accomplish our goals. It is only by connecting issues across the sustainable development spectrum, for instance, by recognizing that access to safe water and sanitation and sound management of freshwater ecosystems is essential to human health and to environmental sustainability and economic prosperity. Then we will reach zero hunger. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of Africa's most eminent statesmen, the late Nelson Mandela, once said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. But transforming the world into a better place isn't possible when we don't have sufficiently, or we do not sufficiently address factors preventing children from attending and actively engaging in schools. Education is key, and not only to developing the intellectual capacities of children. Education is a conduit leading to the development of a country and its people. Education is one of the most critical investments we can make as a community to develop the area we live and ultimately the nation as a whole. Today we are gathered here to make sure our children have a brighter future, supplied with everything they need to support a conducive learning environment. The recently released Zimbabwe Vulnerability Assessment Committee's report on rural livelihoods noted that the proportion of children not attending school due to illness is a cause of concern. It recommended the prioritization of strengthening of the school feeding and school health programs. We, meaning WFP and ADRA, we are happy to attest that jointly with the government, through the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, we were 2 steps ahead and have already started working together to promote school meals by supporting the development of clean water source and nutrition gardens in school. The ministry and will continue to address water challenges in selected schools to ensure accessible and safe cooking water, to improve hygiene and to irrigate school gardens. Our work continues to extend beyond the immediate needs and direct implementation as we support the government in its scale-up of school meals program in the country. Mr. Minister, I'm sure we would all raise our heads up next month when we meet in Montreal to review and to assess progress on Zimbabwe's homegrown school feeding program. This definitely would be a landmark that we would all feel proud of. Our vision is to support the government to develop and sustain programs that help children not just to survive, but to learn and thrive. All children have the right to quality, relevant and inclusive education.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.